Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of What's Next with We. This is the innovation series, and today we have a really special guest from the US. He's Stephen Key, as you can see him here. Just a quick intro. I don't think he needs an intro, but just a quick intro about him. He's one of the world's leading expert in licensing consumer products. He's achieved repeated success as an independent inventor. His products are sold across Fortune 500 companies like Walmart, 7-Eleven, Disney stores, and various theme parks worldwide, as well as his products endorsed by Michael Jordan, Alex Trebek, and Taylor Swift. I think his most inventions and products have sold over billion units and generated billions of dollars of revenue. He's presently the co-founder of Inventor. It's a coaching program where he coaches people to license their product ideas. Present over 65 countries, and he's been doing this since 1999. So Stephen, once again, welcome to this podcast. It's absolute pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you very, very much.
Great. So
Stephen, also add one thing to that intro.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to make sure everybody knows I love this topic, licensing, and I've written over 1,000 articles on this topic, 1 million words. And you can find a lot of this information online on Forbes or Inc. or Entrepreneur, but also I want everybody to know, if you want more information, you can always, we have a YouTube channel with over 700 videos. Can you believe it? 700 videos.
Insane.
On how you could license your ideas. So thank you for that introduction. I just want to make sure everybody, if they want more information, they can find it. So.
Great. Yeah. To add to what Stephen says, I will be adding all of this in description, so you can easily find out all the information from there.
Thank you.
Great. So Stephen, jumping on to the first question. So just wanted to get your views on the licensing landscape. Obviously, since you're in the US, if you could give the audience a quick overview of what's happening in the US and other developed countries.
Okay, that's a great question. First of all, product licensing, where you're going to rent your idea to a company and they're going to pay you a royalty on every one they sell. That type of business model is fairly new to people, but it's been around for years in some industries. But what's happening now, more and more companies are opening their doors to people like us, where we can submit our ideas to them, because they realize in order to stay competitive, they need new ideas.
True.
So this business model of licensing really ties in very nicely with open innovation, meaning companies need ideas. They're opening their doors to all of us. So the licensing business model has been around for 100 years. It's exploding now, not only in the toy industry, but all different industries across all these different categories of companies looking for ideas. So in the United States, it's just growing. Now, in other parts of the world, it's a little slower, right, to catch on. Some of the cultures are a little bit different. Maybe it's a little bit new, but you can do this anywhere in the world. And I would recommend try to license first in the United States, because sometimes those companies have long arms around the world that they can help you spread your creativity. So it's growing, and it's a great time to be creative.
Got it, Stephen. I think well said. I think US is still the hub for innovation. And I think most competitive companies in the world are still in the US, innovating on a daily basis. So I think a message clear out there that wherever you are in the world, I think US should be your first market where you kind of reach out and share your ideas with these large companies.
Yeah, it is. But I want people also to realize that we have students all around the world that are licensing ideas to companies internationally now too. So it's really growing, but it's a great business model. So that's a really great question. And if people want to know, is it the beginning of this? Am I at the very beginning of this movement? No, it's been going on for a long time. People just aren't aware of it.
Got it. So hence this podcast, Stephen. So my intention is to kind of spread the word especially in this part of the world, the Asian subcontinent. I think there are a lot of entrepreneurs, innovators, inventors out here who don't know what to do next. They have great ideas in their head, but not being able to take the next step. So hope this podcast, hope this information from you can kind of lighten their minds and kind of enlighten them to figure out this path for themselves. So,
Well, I really like the title, What's Next, because it's perfect for entrepreneurs and inventors, because
right.
traditionally they've been taught that I have to start a company, raise money, write a business plan, hire employees, do all the heavy lifting. But with licensing, you're finding that company that's already doing all those things.
Right.
So it's great for people like us to realize that, look, maybe I don't have the resources or the time, but I can still be part of this innovation around the world.
No, that's actually a great point, because many of them find it difficult to be an entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur, you need to worry about, apart from being just focusing on the product, I think you should look at fundraising, hiring, and a bunch of stuff to survive. So I think if a person is inclined to do something on their own, I think licensing is a great career option. So
It's one of those things that not everybody wants to start a business. Not everybody has the time or even the experience, but they still have ideas. So this is another way for everyone to have the opportunity to share their creativity with the world.
Awesome, Steven. Maybe just taking it to the next kind of viewpoint, just wanted to get your views on how does an inventor look like? Like, what is this persona? I mean, I can see a lot of stuff just behind you. I think most of are your creations, and it looks pretty awesome. So if you could just give, I mean, I know you're a stalwart in the space, but how does a general inventor look like? How does he need to position himself? What are the basic skill sets required?
Yeah, I think it's changed. I think it's not that person in that garage tinkering with an idea. It's changed. It's not that struggling inventor anymore. It's everybody. And it's at every age and every gender. It doesn't matter. I mean, anybody has this creative urge, and it could be in toys or kitchen or packaging, or it doesn't matter. The barriers of people to jump in to do this have been broken. It doesn't require a patent necessarily, or a prototype sometimes, or even starting a business. So what that really means is that anybody and everybody can get involved. A lot of people think, well, maybe I'm not capable, or maybe I don't have experience, or maybe I'm not an engineer, but it doesn't matter. We see ideas that get licensed to companies, from kids to parents to lawyers to plumbers to house. Everybody is jumping in now and being involved in creating something new, because we're all experts. We all know what we like and we know what we don't like. So you don't need those skills you think you need. What you need to do is realize, number one, yes, you can do it. Number two, you need to find the right people that can guide you, give you good information. We're doing that now. But there's so many easy things today. There's 3D printing where you can create prototypes. So easy now. You can file provisional patent applications anywhere in the world for like $70. So you could put patent pending on your product. You could put marketing material together. You could hire a freelancer anywhere in the world to create this beautiful marketing material to get companies interested. You can reach out to anybody in the world through LinkedIn now. There's no gatekeepers. So what that means is that all of us have access to companies that are looking for ideas. So everybody can do it.
Got it, Steven. Perfect. Going a little bit more in depth, as an inventor, as a person sitting anywhere in the world, what are the main licensing models that he needs to keep in mind? Like a few, maybe the most important ones that he has to keep in mind in terms of the legal aspects and what goes in the contract, and what could be win-win licensing options for that inventor sitting anywhere.
Well, that's really a good question, I think. But before that, I think what's really important is that when you come up with an idea, make sure you find those companies that are looking for ideas. okay, and study their product line to make sure your product fits their product line,
True.
right? You don't want to show them something maybe they've already seen. So you have to do your homework and make sure your idea is new. So do a Google image search, do a Google shopping search, and maybe even look at some prior patents, but make sure you have a new idea, first thing, and find those companies that embrace working with us. Okay, that's all you really need to do to begin with. Now, when it comes to a licensing agreement, right, those can get very complicated. Sometimes they're not, but typically there are. And it's a different language that you're learning for the first time. And you're going to be negotiating licensing minimum, you're going to be negotiating royalty rates, minimum guarantees, who owns the intellectual property, all these very technical things. So I tell everybody, don't worry about that. Start with these companies, show them great ideas, be an asset, be part of their team. And when that licensing agreement comes over, what I would recommend is finding a licensing attorney, which you can find anywhere in the world, and maybe find someone that has business experience, the business terms of a licensing agreement. So you have someone that knows the legal and someone that knows the business. So you don't have to do this alone. If you've gone to all this work, you don't really want to mess up with the licensing agreement. Now, licensing agreements are pretty basic. They're all the same, but they're a little bit different too. So you're really going to need help. And it's not, I'm not going to say it's hard, but doing this for the first time, I would not recommend doing it alone.
Got it. So you're saying across the world, there are licensing attorneys, legal folks who could help at least initially to get your hands-on experience.
Yeah, the licensing business model, we're talking about product licensing.
Right.
Worldwide, there's a thing called brand licensing, which has been around for a long time. And the terms of a licensing agreement are basically the same, no matter if it's a brand like Disney, you're going to license to a manufacturer, Mickey Mouse,
right?
Or if I'm an inventor and I'm going to license my idea, the licensing terms are fairly the same. So
right.
licensing attorneys are all around the world in every country. Yes.
Got it. Moving on. Yeah, just wanted to understand, I mean, for the inventors out there, what could be the best practices that they could follow in terms of idea generation to maybe documenting it, reaching out to potential customers, some of the best practices that inventors typically do globally?
Well, I think, as I mentioned earlier, the first thing you should do, just make sure your product idea is new and it has a benefit that people really want. Now, how do you know that? You don't. So, but if you can show the benefit of your idea to a company with the one-line benefit statement and maybe a picture of your prototype and what's it going to do, so people can understand it very quickly. That's the first thing to get someone to get engaged. So you don't have to go and build this prototype, which a lot of people do. You can do a 3D computer generated prototype, which people don't realize. I don't have to build it yet. I can test it. I can test the benefit of my idea first.
Got it.
Now, that's really a different way of looking at it, because in order to do this and be successful at this, you're going to need a lot of ideas. And if you had to spend a lot of time and money on each idea, you might give up too early. So when I'm explaining to everybody, people don't care about prototypes. They care about benefits.
Right.
What is this benefit of your idea going to do for my customers? Okay, so the best practice at the very beginning is to make sure you have a new idea and you could have a sell sheet or a little video explaining that benefit very clearly. The second thing I'd highly recommend is filing a provisional patent application, which you could basically file anywhere in the world, in the United States. And then if you want to designate other countries a year later, you can do that. Wonderful tool, very affordable tool. and you can learn how to write one yourself. It's not difficult, or hire a patent attorney either, does not matter.
Got it.
That will give you patent pending status. That's important. And then the other best practice is reach out to a company and go slow. Build a relationship, understand their process. I think sometimes we're so enthusiastic at times that we go too fast. We're trying to pitch. You don't have to sell. Your product will sell itself, right?
Got it.
And
Right.
you always want to be a storyteller. So
Got
people
it.
you don't have to be a salesperson, and the thing I really love about this process is that anybody can do it at any time in the world because of LinkedIn. But don't pitch. Don't tell them you've got $1 million idea. Don't do that. Just try to build a relationship. Do you take outside ideas from people like me? Do you embrace open innovation? What's required? What would you like to see? Go slow.
Got it.
That
Interesting.
way, they're going to consider you a professional
Got
because
it.
but you care about them.
Got it. So, Stephen, is it a good idea for an inventor? For example, he has created an idea in a particular industry. Is it a good option to reach out to multiple top companies in that particular category at the beginning itself and like create a funnel, or do you go one by one?
Well, that's a great question. Professional product developers, inventors submit typically to multiple companies at a time.
Got it. Okay.
Now, not in every industry, but most industries. If you have relationships and you've built relationships with certain companies, give them maybe a first glance at it and give them a little bit of time. That's a courtesy. But at the very beginning, send it out to 3 or 4 companies and see what feedback you're getting. Now, if they ask you if you're submitting it to other companies, tell them yes. Always be truthful. But when they ask who, tell them you're under NDA, that you're not going to disclose it. They will appreciate that.
Got it.
Also realize that once you start to get feedback, you might change your marketing material. So I wouldn't blast out to 30 companies, but do a couple. See what the questions are. You might have to change it. The other thing too, this is the big mistake we all make. We always go after the biggest company.
Right.
And we do that for 2 reasons. They've got the best distribution, they've got the brand name recognition, and we just run after them. But large companies typically don't innovate. They're never first, and they're very risk averse. So
true.
The companies that are licensing ideas that we see are those mid-sized companies. Now, they're still big, but they're a little bit more entrepreneurial. They're looking for that next product for them to get bigger. They're really willing to take a risk, spend money. Those are the type of companies that are hungry for ideas. The big guys, not so much.
Oh, that's a really interesting insight. Actually, it's counter logical, right? Generally, an inventor will be like, hey, let me approach the largest company out there. So I think this is a nice way of looking at it. I think you could reach out to maybe 2 or 3 companies, maybe 4 companies, learn from the feedback that you get from each company, and keep tweaking your marketing material and your pitch, right? I think that's an ideal way to go about it, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. I think in the same note, Stephen, just wanted to reverse the question in such a way that what is a typical mindset of a corporate, like an employee in a corporate working in the open innovation team? If you think that particular person is the right person in that corporate, what is generally the mindset of these large companies or mid-sized companies on how they look at inventors, individual inventors like us?
Well, that's a wonderful question. Depends on their experience with us. And typically their experience has probably not been so positive because we're not at times being reasonable. Maybe we're a little pushy, and maybe we're not really thinking about them. Okay. what you have to realize, these companies need ideas, but not only are they looking at your idea, they're looking at you. Because whoever's looking at that idea, and if they like it, they're going to have to bring you in. Now, not physically bring you in, but they have to bring, that person has to introduce you and your product to his boss and other people. So if you're not acting as a professional and give them a red flag, that doesn't matter how great your product is, they won't bring you in. So what does that mean? That means you need to help that person take your product idea in such a way and show it to everybody and feel proud about it and feel confident that you're someone they want to work with. So there's red flags. If you're too pushy, they won't deal with you. If you're sending them ideas that they can find within minutes, they will never deal with you again. They won't forget your name.
Oh, okay. Got it. Interesting.
Yeah, you have to be really, and I interviewed 30 companies and I asked the same question. What are we doing right and what are we doing wrong? And they told me, number one, slow it down. We want a relationship with you. Number two, don't show us ideas we can find within a minute. Do your homework and don't embarrass us by doing something that's not appropriate.
Got it. I think what you've just pointed out are actually basic elements, right? I think if an inventor can get these basics right, and he's really true to what he does, I think he doesn't have to worry, right? And I think corporates, employees also would appreciate that if it's genuine, if it really solves a problem, and I think it's something new. I'm sure I think the corporate would definitely build that relationship with that inventor. And as you said, I think building a relationship is generally the foundation to build a long-lasting association with that company. So that's what I have seen in my career, since most of my career has been in stakeholder management and relationship building. So I totally get what you're saying.
It's more important than what inventors believe. They believe my idea is big enough and great enough. It will overcome everything. No, that's not true. So you need that champion. You need someone that believes in you, and you need to help them help you. So it's all about relationships. Yeah.
Got it, Stephen. Well, that's pretty interesting. Maybe a couple of last questions, Stephen. Just wanted to get your view on that. I just had this thought. As you mentioned, I mean, you have made a career out of licensing and pretty successful at it. Do you think there's still scope for guys like me, for example, or guys sitting out in various parts of the world, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa? Can they look at licensing as a full-time career, maybe along with maybe teaching, or along with maybe doing some other not so full-time job? So what's your view on a full-time individual licensing inventor as a career?
Well, wonderful. I've been a full-time inventor for my whole career and made a living doing it day in and day out. So I do understand the kind of the difficulties. Now, what you have to realize that you're going to have to come up with a lot of ideas, and you're going to build relationships with companies. So, and it takes about a year for them, once they take a product, to bring it to market, for you to collect royalties. Okay, so you've got to be prepared that there's a time, there's a period of time where there's no income. So, but the great thing about it is this doesn't need to be a full-time job. You could keep your same job. You could do it on the side. You could do multiple jobs and still do this. It's not a 40-hour thing at the very beginning. It can become that. Professional inventors that do this, and there's a lot of them out there that do this licensing business model. They've told me two things: to be successful, stay in one industry or two industries. Stay in the ones you really love, you're passionate about, and learn as much as you can about those industries. So it's what you know. The second thing is, it's really who you know. So by staying in the industry long enough, you begin to pick up those clients, those companies looking for ideas, and you only need
Right.
5, 6, 10. It's not a lot.
Right.
Then you start to design for them. So it's really a job. Now, it's a great job. It's a creative job, but it is a job. Okay. So you have to be,
Right.
yeah, and you have to treat it as such that, but you need to give yourself a little bit of time because you're going to get a lot of rejection. But I see so many people become successful at this. So the formula to be a full-time inventor is don't quit your day job. All right. Don't do anything silly. Give yourself some time.
Got it.
Stay in 2 industries, build relationships, and show them good ideas.
No, this is actually pretty, I think, encouraging, especially folks in the Asian market, because I live in India. So I think many of them are quite entrepreneurial, very creative. And obviously, you see a lot of problems in our country as well, where there's a lot of folks who are ready to provide solutions to it. So I think what you just mentioned, that having a full-time job and doing this on the side is still viable. You can still kind of create good ideas and present it to various companies. So I think that's a big takeaway and pretty encouraging as well. They don't have to take that risk of not getting their paycheck in their present jobs. So I think that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't have to raise money or spend a lot of money doing this.
True.
See,
True.
that's what's really amazing about this. You can do
Absolutely.
this
Yeah.
and be an idea factory, and you can do this anywhere in the world. And it doesn't have to change what you daily do. But find something you really love to do it. And I tell everybody, this is the most rewarding career, to see your creativity being sold or seeing someone use it or see it on TV. There's nothing like that. And if you have good ideas, and if you don't do anything with those ideas, you will see them. I guarantee it. And you will be frustrated and you will kick yourself. So don't let that happen. Jump in the game of innovation. You can do it. And I'm really happy to be here with you today. This is very exciting.
Great, Sivan. Super encouraging. Maybe the last question from my side actually for today. Kind of a crystal ball gazing in a way. How do you look at this particular industry? Maybe, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line?
I think what's going to happen, you're going to see the licensing business model being taught at universities. That it's not being taught now, but it will be taught. You're also going to see intellectual property be taught at K-12 and high school and college, more about how to protect your creativity. That type of education needs to be out, and it's happening now. I'm involved in it with educating the next generation. You're going to see more of that. And what's going to happen, people are going to get better at this. Okay. And people around the world are going to participate because it's gotten easier. The barriers are broken. See, what I'm excited about, the barriers of entry are just being broken. They're being pushed aside. And the licensing model does that. You're going to also see more companies getting involved in open innovation, looking at ideas, but also they're going to be asking more from us, right? They're going to be demanding more from us. So we've got to up our game a little bit. It's not just, here's an idea. No, it's, here's an idea. It fits your product line. Here are some similar ideas so you can see the difference between mine. I've done some prior art searching. Here's maybe a cost with that, a bill of materials. You keep on elevating it so you make it easier for them. So I think it's going to grow, and I'm excited to be part of it.
Awesome. I think, Steven, what I think you pointed out is the education, I think, from school level. So I think once we have education awareness at that age, I think the students who graduate maybe after college will look at this at this particular option as a viable, maybe full-time, if not full-time, or part-time. I think that's pretty critical, education and awareness.
Yes, I wrote a book called One Simple Idea, and I got it noticed from a young man that read it in middle school. That means he was probably in 8th grade. And
Wow.
now he's licensed his idea to and he's in the toy industry licensing ideas, but it all started with picking up a book. So
Oh,
it's
that's
amazing that it just takes a little bit of education, and I'm really happy to be pushing that out with all the things that we're doing to show everyone that this is for everybody. And it's not just the creative people, because I think we're all creative, so we all can participate. And I'm really excited to see these things happening all around the world. We also had someone that read One Simple Idea and watched one of our videos, and now he's from Egypt, Cairo, and his product
right.
sells around the world. So
That's
it's happening. Yeah.
brilliant. Brilliant. I think this has been an eye opener for me for sure. And I hope the listeners also would find the same. I think there is scope all around the world. And especially from where I come from, India, I think there's tremendous potential. Just that people are not aware on how to do things. I hope, Steven, I think it would be great if at some point in time you come to India sometime.
Yeah, there's a lot of, we have quite a few students in India. There's a spirit there,
Right.
and I see it. And I also teach young kids in India occasionally on Friday nights, and they're the smartest kids in the world. And the questions they ask, it's amazing. So they're thinking, the whole culture is thinking that way. So I'm excited to be part of it. And whenever I get an invite to come on out, I'm coming back out. I've been out to India once. I love India. I love the food. I love the people. It's amazing. So if I
Yeah.
can come on out and spread the word, I'm available.
Awesome, Stephen. Maybe once the pandemic kind of settles down, I think hopefully next year, fingers crossed, I think would love to have you in India, and maybe you could. I mean, I'm in Bangalore, so happy to host you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Great, Stephen. Thanks a lot. I mean, thanks for taking out time on a Thursday morning. I think this has been great in terms of the content, in terms of the information that we are sharing with the world. Once again, Stephen, thanks a lot. We'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you
And
very much, everybody.
thanks, Stephen.